Today we have some big news. We're going to talk about an AEW departure. Another one has been confirmed. But also in addition to that, WWE is forcing a relatively another big change to AEW. But before we even talk about that, just know, I think a lot of wrestling fans will actually like this kind of thing. And Triple H is talking about something that we have been asking for a very long time, and it doesn't appear to be getting shut down. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ango Show. And if you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell. This way you can stay notified with everything that has to do with professional wrestling. Like this story right here, ladies and gentlemen. WWE introducing a physical Hall of Fame has probably been something that's been talked about for so long. Honestly, I feel like for as long as I can remember. And what's actually become really interesting about this particular topic is the fact that a lot of people aren't seemingly talking about the idea of how it just makes so much business sense. Now, Triple H is actually not shutting this down. He did an interview with Complex, and he literally said, like, this is something that they have interest in. He says, they've always been asked about the idea of a brick and mortar Hall of Fame, and that's actually something that could still be planned for the future. Now, he's not shutting this down, but I do want to talk about this because I don't think people realize like how much money WWE could be missing out on the potential possibility of having a Hall of Fame. Like a physical Hall of Fame. And like, in a way, I think people need to kind of look at it as not just like a physical Hall of Fame, but also a like museum. WWE loves profiting off of their intellectual properties. That is one of the things that makes WWE so incredibly smart. It's one of those things that makes WWE so incredibly like different from a lot of other companies. All these properties, the characters, the pay-per-views, everything that they can own, they basically monetize and they do it well. So imagine if WWE introduced a physical Hall of Fame location, and maybe it's in Las Vegas, maybe it's in New York. I don't know. I don't know about the location. But my point that I'm making is if they had a physical location where you could basically go and see everything that's like archived from the company. So like there's a room for the Hall of Fame, and in that room for the Hall of Fame, you get to see who's been inducted, and it has photos and videos and highlights and, ring gear and a whole bunch of artifacts from those times. Like that would be great. But then in the other part of the building, you have the ability to have just in general, like WWE has that archived warehouse. Like imagine if WWE were to utilize some of that, and it's like you walk into this building and you could see the first ever WWF World Championship belt, like the exact one that was won in a certain match, or like, you know what I mean? Like I think WWE can make so much money off of it, and then it's a place that you can go to, and with that too, like you could purchase foods and snacks and things like that. And there would be tour guides, and there would like be people who take you around. I don't know. To me, I just feel like it's a no-brainer, and it's another thing that makes WWE money. And I can't imagine the cost to operate this would be so significant to the point where WWE would lose money on it. Like I just genuinely feel that way. So every time somebody gets inducted, there could be like that little theater inside of the building where that's where they go and do their speeches and stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't think people really talk about that aspect to it. I think there is so much money you can make from this. It just seems like it would be the right choice for WWE to do something like that. That brings us to our next topic. Ladies and gentlemen, there is another AEW departure that has been confirmed. And it's kind of interesting. Tony Chimmel. You guys remember Tony Chimmel? I'm sure you guys remember Tony Chimmel. Obviously, he was a longtime WWE employee, came to AEW, and he actually confirmed with All Access Entertainment that he left the company. He's gone from the company. He says that he really enjoyed his time there. He says, in fact, like literally quoted, "I always had a good time there. They're a smaller operation and they run things a little differently, but the people are nice. I knew a lot of WWE people who are there now. It was a nice little run, and I'm very grateful for the time I had there. They do their thing the way they want to do their thing." So he's not putting down AEW or anything of that nature, but he's no longer in the company. He has left the company. Now, what was interesting is Tony Chimmel was in AEW. He wasn't constantly utilized in AEW. But Tony Chimmel is a legendary voice in professional wrestling, and his WWE departure was actually really shocking. So when he went to AEW, a lot of people were like, okay, I'm actually really even more shocked that he went to AEW. Then he goes to AEW and he's used more for like special circumstances and things of that nature, which is cool. But now he's gone from the company. And honestly, I think he's only been there for maybe a year, maybe a little bit over a year, maybe 2 years. But I remember talking about this. It's funny. I remember talking about Tony Chimel joining AEW and people are like, wow, like that's awesome. Like the fact that everybody knows Tony Chimel's voice, you know what I mean? And it's like the rated R superstar. Like he's got a very famous voice in professional wrestling. I think a lot of people looked at this as like a big win. And this is where I respect AEW a lot because they brought in Tony Chimel. They didn't have to. They didn't really have a need for him. You know, his departure is his departure, but at least like he had a job within AEW. He got paid for his job. And it's not like he was being utilized every single week. You know, like there's a lot of good that comes from that. And that's where AEW should be given credit, you know. It sucks that he's gone, but we'll see what happens next. Maybe, you never know. WWE loves, you know, nostalgia sometimes. So maybe they'll bring him back for some special occasions or whatever it may be. Who knows? But it will be very interesting to see how WWE moves forward. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our final topic. Speaking of WWE, speaking of AEW, WWE is forcing a major change for AEW, and that's because AEW has officially confirmed the change of AEW Collision for December 13th. Now, keep in mind, December 13th is the night of John Cena's final match. It's a very, very highly coveted, highly talked about, highly exciting event. Is John Cena's retirement. And AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery actually made the decision that AEW Collision will not go on the air at 7 or 8 or 9 or anything like that. They're going to start the show early at 4:30 Eastern. So the idea is AEW Collision will actually be off the air by the time John Cena's final match happens. Now, some people in the comments are going to be like, well, of course AEW is going to change it. They have to change it. John Cena's last match is going to absolutely kill AEW Collision. And yeah, that's probably true. Like, let's be real. Wrestling fans are going to watch John Cena's retirement match regardless of what tribalistic side you take. Like, people love John Cena. They respect John Cena. They're going to watch it. And yes, the damage to AEW Collision's ratings would be pretty massive, but that's like realistic. I think Tony Khan would probably admit that too. But I actually think AEW doing the earlier time slot has actually been way beneficial for AEW. When AEW was getting counter-programmed by WWE and they decided to do afternoon shows, wrestling fans made it a point to watch. And it's actually a huge win for professional wrestling fans. Like the idea of, oh man, it's a Saturday, it's getting cold out, it's December, you know, it's a week before Christmas or whatever. Like, dude, I just want to be lazy and relax on a Saturday. Dude, you get to watch Collision at 4:30. And then you get to watch Saturday night's main event. It's a win-win. And then you're not, you know, freaking out about, oh my God, I really want to watch Collision and I really want to watch John Cena's last match. Like, you have to be realistic, you have to be logical, and you have to be considerate of the fact that, like, it's not about AEW or WWE that night. It's strictly about John Cena. Like, people want to see John Cena's last match. He made a promise. You know, it's like when Sting retired. It doesn't matter what else is going on. It's like, dude, that's Sting's last match. You want to see it. So you go out of your way to watch it. Even WWE people were doing that. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it's going to be. There's literally nothing wrong with that. I am one of those people that genuinely think this is a good thing. I think Tony Khan has also realized that sometimes wrestling in the afternoon on a weekend is not a bad thing. And I love that, yeah, WWE doing this does force AEW's change. But I think AEW's change is good for AEW, but it's good for the fans, and it's even good for WWE, because John Cena will be the sole focus at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and then Collision will be the sole focus at 4:30. That's how I look at it. I look at that as a big win. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.